In the shadow of belief, how black magic began and is practiced. On a moonless night, a hooded figure kneels in a dusty corner of a remote hut, murmuring words older than memory. Candles gutter as the air grows heavy with incense and tension. In this hush, a whispered spell seems almost alive, an echo of fear and hope tangled together. Such scenes, real or imagined, have fueled legends of black magic for millennia. But beyond the smoke and superstition, what do these practices really involve? Black magic, sometimes called dark magic or sorcery, is traditionally defined as the use of supernatural forces for evil or selfish ends. In other words, it is magic bent to harm, manipulate, or control others. The phrase itself carries an ominous weight, evoking curses, demonic pacts, and secret knowledge. Yet the true nature of these beliefs and rituals is complex, woven into religion, culture, and social history. Across the world, people have told similar tales in different guises. In West Africa, they speak of Juju, a Hausa word broadly meaning magic, omens, or curses. In India, villagers warn of Kala Jadoo, literally black magic, as the source of unexplained misfortune. In the Caribbean, hair-raising voodoo, stories blur lines between religion and witchcraft. Even in medieval Europe, the Church lamented a rising tide of witchcraft as heresy. These threads of belief, African, Indian, Western, Middle Eastern, and beyond, all feed a vast tapestry of ideas about invisible powers. Every culture has its own terms. For instance, Sir in Arabic refers to sorcery or black magic, but many share the key idea. Certain rituals or spells can bend fate. Definition and origins. Strictly speaking, black magic refers to any magical practice intended for harm or personal gain. By contrast, white magic is typically said to be for healing or protection. In popular accounts, black magic might involve curses, hexes, necromancy, or calling on malevolent spirits. A recent Science article notes that it has long held a mystical and often ominous allure, evoking images of dark rituals, demonic invocations, and the pursuit of selfish or malevolent ends. Yet scholars caution that in many cultures, the black versus white dichotomy is a simplification. For example, practitioners of Haitian Vodou distinguish benevolent spirit work from harmful witchcraft, just as Western occultists debate the morality of magic. The term itself, like nigromancy or wicked art, often came from outside. Europeans branded native rituals as black magic if they flouted church norms. In ancient times, magic and religion were often inseparable. The earliest written texts, from Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, and elsewhere, show priests invoking deities for both good and ill. Even Homer's Odyssey has Circe turning men into pigs with a spell. Classical societies spoke of apotropaic magic to ward off evil, and theurgy to unite with gods. The famous anthropologist E. Evans Pritchard noted that among the Azanda people of Sudan, witchcraft and magic were integral parts of religion and culture, a rational system to explain misfortune. To the Azanda, magic, or mangu, was an inherited power. Everyday calamities like accidents or illness were attributed to curses or hidden intentions, not random chance. The Zonda of South Sudan accept magic, together with witchcraft and oracles, as a normal part of nature and society, Evans Pritchard wrote. In other words, whether one called it black magic or not, many communities saw the spirit world as real and active, sometimes helpful, sometimes deadly. As history marched on, these beliefs took on new forms.
In medieval Europe and Renaissance times, fears of the deviless influence soared.
Church courts burned alleged witches by the thousands. One estimate puts the number at some 80,000 victims between 1500 and 1660. The infamous Malleus Maleficarum, Hammer of Witches, 1486, preached that witchcraft was heresy and gave priests a how-to on condemning witches. Across Asia, powerful empires wrote law codes against seer, the Islamic term for malicious magic. The Quran itself mentions magic as a danger to the faithful, and scholars agree that in Islam any attempt to call on jinn or cast spells, seer, is explicitly forbidden. Yet even as leaders denounced black magic, ordinary people continued to believe in it, since personal misfortune still needed explaining. Today, popular culture often sensationalizes black magic, from Hollywood horror to tabloid astrology, but the underlying beliefs persist. Anthropologists and historians find that behind the scary stories lies a complex reality. Black magic, or whatever name it goes by, is intertwined with community, religion, and psychology. It often begins not with evil intent, but with fear and uncertainty. A sudden death, a crop failure, or a business misfortune might lead people to wonder if unseen forces are at work. In tense times, accusing a neighbor of witchcraft or hiring a sorcerer could feel like reclaiming control over chaos. Below, we journey through several traditions. In each, local lore and ritual describe how someone might begin to practice harmful magic, and how that magic is performed. We will see how objects, words, spirits, and symbols come together, and how communities define what is black magic and how to counter it. While rooted in folklore, these accounts rest on authentic cultural practices documented by observers and scholars. Wherever possible, we include real beliefs and terms, like Juju, Obia, Siher, and clear explanations. And, just as in any good story, we will pause for occasional dialogue and vivid detail to bring these traditions to life. All the while, each factual claim is backed by reputable sources, ensuring our account is as accurate as it is compelling. African traditions, Juju, witch doctors, and ancestral spirits. In the West African bush, a child peers from behind a tree, watching the Juju man at work. This traditional sorcerer, known locally as a jujuman or medicine man, moves slowly around a simmering pot of herbs. A second figure, the villager who paid for the charm, kneels anxiously. "He asked me for his own tooth," the jujuman murmurs, eyes closed in concentration. "Now I shall bind the spell to him." With that whispered incantation, the unseen bond is made, a curse has begun. Scenes like this may sound mystical, but they are grounded in long-held beliefs. In many parts of Africa, magic is woven into daily life. A notable account from a rural Nigerian village reported how witchcraft, black magic, juju, and traditional healing have long been part of Africa's rural fabric. People call on sorcerers to bless cars against accidents, hunt thieves, cure illnesses, or even break aid spells. The word juju itself comes from Hausa but is widely understood in West Africa to mean magic, omens, or curses, including attempts to protect oneself from unseen evils. This shows that black magic in the African context often overlaps with the benign. A blessing against misfortune might use the same framework as a curse. Anthropologists have documented how African belief systems frame misfortune as the work of jealous neighbors or estranged kin. In East Africa, Sudan, and Uganda, the Azanda hold that misdeeds can only be magically inflicted if the victim secretly harbors hate. Anyone can, in theory, inherit witchcraft, Azanda call it manger, by birth. The Azanda believe a witch carries a psychic power that can hurt even without intention. But that power works only at close range. If something terrible happens, a fall in a granary, say, they consult oracles or prophets to check for witchcraft. The accused, which is often someone with whom there was conflict. As Evans Pritchard observed, this makes magic a rational system for them. It explains why one neighbor's house fell and another's did not, tying together events that otherwise seem random. In fact, he wrote, the Azanda accept magic and witchcraft as a normal, logical part of society, not as pure evil. In their minds, spells and charms are real forces shaping daily life. On the West African coast, among the Yoruba and related peoples, belief in spiritual arts is similarly strong. One tradition called Owo Juju or Oju Juju, not to be confused with vague popular uses of Juju, refers to practices involving objects like fetishes, amulets, or potions. Ritual specialists there may be called Babalawo in Ifa religion or Osawase, but a less formal wise person may also serve as a curse breaker or cursing magician. These practitioners claim to wield both good juju and bad juju for protection and for hexing. Common tools include personal items, hair, nail clippings, for sympathetic links, chalk or razor blades for ritual markings, and potions of herbs and poisons. For example, poisons made from river plants are sometimes used to provoke illness in a target, forcing them to confess or suffer. Amulets like jellied masks or carved figures might be worn to deflect curses. In conversation, a local healer might say, with the right ingredients and words, you can turn a man's fortune or ruin it. Indeed, cursing an enemy is said to start by invoking an ancestor or spirit to witness the spell. The practitioner might leave an offering, goats, kola nuts, or libations of palm wine, to seal the pact. Though this sounds like evil witchcraft, in context it is seen as restoring cosmic balance. For every charm on a person there is supposedly a counter-charm available. In the Caribbean, descendants of these African traditions created new systems like voodoo in Haiti, Santeria in Cuba, and Obia in Jamaica and Trinidad. These are syncretic religions combining African spirit cults with European and indigenous elements. They often distinguish between white magic, healing, blessing, and black magic, hexes, curses. For example, Haitian Vodou has spirits called Loas. Some Loas are invoked to heal and bring luck, while others, like Baron Samedi in his menacing aspect, can be petitioned to harm an enemy. Importantly, practitioners insist that voodoo itself is not evil. It's a balanced religion, but individual people can choose to misuse its rituals for harm. As one Vodou priest might explain to a curious reporter, a Loa obeys. If you ask for protection, you are protected. If you ask to bind someone, the Loa hears that too. Hollywood often focuses on the Hollywood image of voodoo dolls and zombies, but in reality Vodou rituals involve drumming, dancing, divination, and offerings, just like Catholic Mass or any other church service. Still, accused sorcerers in Haiti, often labeled Bakers, have reportedly used dolls or figurines to represent victims, sticking pins or tying off limbs, classic sympathetic magic techniques. In the Haitian context, such practices are clandestine because voodoo itself is stigmatized. This blurring of ceremony and curse again reflects a common theme. One person's spiritual tool is another's weapon. Farther west, Obia emerged in English-speaking Caribbean colonies among enslaved Africans. The term Obia, from Ibibio Ubia meaning magic or sorcery, was used by colonial authorities to outlaw all native practices. In fact, Obia is not a single religion but name for African-derived healing and spellcasting traditions. Ritual specialists, sometimes called Obiamen, might sell herbal cures, love potions, or curses. Central to Obia is the manipulation of spirits and natural forces. Working with snakes, graveyard dirt, or shark teeth, for example. Historical records describe Obia curses involving puppets, little dolls, curses written on paper and buried, or even preparing poisons. Modern researchers note that cursing practices have also featured in Obia, involving the making of objects to cause harm or the production of poisons. For instance, a piece of clothing belonging to the target might be anointed with a secret potion and then buried at a crossroads. In folklore, the victim would then fall suddenly ill or go mad. As in West Africa, many islanders believe misfortune can only be caused by jealousy. Thus a neighbor who unexpectedly improves their fortunes, by winning a lottery or getting a promotion, might be suspected of Obia influence. The accused may then consult another Obiaman to undo the spell, often using Christian prayers or African songs to break the effect. To be continued on Curiousphere. From whispered curses in West African villages to secret rituals passed down through generations, black magic is more than myth. It's a powerful lens into fear, faith, and culture.
If this journey through the unseen world fascinated you, don't stop here.
Hit that like button, subscribe to Curiousphere, and tap the bell icon to dive deeper into the mysteries that shape our world. Got questions or experiences with black magic? Drop them in the comments. Let's explore the unknown together.